Sonic's base form is ridiculously fast. He has almost limitless energy to charge himself up where he emits lightning. He can power himself up like this. And this is like another stage of his base form getting more serious. But then he got his live action Super Saiyan mode where he's pretty much amped by these emeralds to make himself way mightier than he normally would be. Everything he can do before, he can do better like this, including things like flight. And you can see him fly right here. Yeah. Majority of the video isn't going to be him like this. This is where he's ridiculously powered up. It was these emeralds that are powering him up that he did launch and gave it up at the end of the movie. In this state, he seems to be able to do other stuff like matter manipulate or just create stuff out of the blue, like literally made his own storm out of the blue to literally create a hot dog. But yeah, he doesn't need this to be powerful. I'll get back to this later though. It's nice to play the games with Sonic producing super speed, but then it's also nice to see him going super speed in live action. You guys already know the character if you play the video games or know about the video game character. It's the same concept here, but just live action, speed. I've been getting a lot of requests to do more live action stuff, and I kind of agree. I do need to get more into live action. Let's get into it. You guys know he's a speedster type character, but he's one of those characters that was born with his abilities. I just let him tell you.
This is the island where I'm from. I was born with extraordinary powers and was told to keep them secret.
You have a power unlike anything I've ever seen. And that means someone will always want it.
Would you agree that he's went through his evolution, even if they don't necessarily say it, that the older him is faster than the shorter him or younger him, you know, getting faster as time goes by. He even gets a different look. You know what I mean? He's still progressing. He's one of those characters where he's fast, but he seems to be surging with energy. That's why you see him literally look like he's producing lightning or energy sparks coming off him like electricity and crap. One could say he has his own form of standard gear that basically allow for teleportation to where he can go to different sides of the universe via these portals. So in a weird way, you got his base state, you got him when he starts channeling his energy, like he starts lighting up bluish with lightning and projects energy, just to give you a little idea of how much energy is just surging through him, like all these lightning streaks, like a piece of his hair. Like I'm just talking about one of these strands. When it was tested by the evil genius Robotnik, of course, one strand of his hair apparently has unlimited power, and that's one strand of his hair, letting you know all the energy surging through Sonic. And that's part of the reason why Eggman was able to amp his technology, using the energy given off of Sonic's hair, that just one piece of his hair. It's because of this stuff is the reason why his gear was able to match Sonic's speed, and he wasn't just completely frozen in comparison to Sonic's raw speed. And just to give you an idea of Sonic's hair doing this to his lap, like, yeah, it's just got that much energy, short-circuiting everything. And it seems to have some electric type of elements to it, like it's shocking beams. Knuckles in live action, another strong character in the Sonic live action universe, gives off a lot of energy off his pieces of hair too. And in the Knuckles show, this kind of stuff should technically apply for Sonic when it comes to them talking about the energy these beings, these alien beings can produce or generate. They compare their power to nuclear bombs.
They shed quills with the destructive power of a thermonuclear weapon every time they go out for a jog.
The reason why I'm going to bring this back up later, because it's definitely consistent with them having this kind of raw energy to produce outwardly like this. When you see Sonic produce energy like this, for example, the energy they can produce outwardly. Yeah, definitely bringing this back up in a bit. The way Sonic prefers to fight is to use this similar technique you see in video games, this homing attack, they call it, or spin dash. This is just a classic Sonic theme. Movie Sonic can do this technique too when he rolls up into a ball, increases attack power, like strikes. One can apply this increases durability to not get splatted. This is a small example of his durability, crashing through all of this, and is okay. So he's more durable than you would expect. Like, it's evident when you see him bouncing like a ball here. Classic video game stuff he always does. We see him messing around with some nunchucks. Imagine getting hit by these. He can do the classic speedster thing, like make his own tornado, cyclone with speed. This truck was out of control, so he can dismantle it at ridiculously fast speeds, so it won't harm nobody. I mean, when you're so fast, you can play sports with yourself. Like literally playing every position on the baseball field, changing outfits, changing gear to pretend like you're all the people. Like, yeah, you see the different outfits. All this stuff is getting changed instantaneously to pretend like he's playing against himself. Speed. When you're a fast character like Sonic, you don't really need physical strength when you're this fast because your speed is your weight. But yeah, his physicals are implied to be stronger than normal though. An example would be like this large column that was on top of Knuckles. He was kind of able to help push it off, even though Knuckles probably did a lot of this work too, pushing it off or lifting it up off of him. See, it's one thing to be able to run or move fast in a straight line, but Sonic's one of those characters where the same speed to where he can run straight line-ish or forward, like one call this travel speed. He's very fast in the same aspect when it comes to reflexes, being able to react to stuff while moving at these high velocities. Sonic's main thing is speed. Like, okay, you see, this is like with no buildings in the way. This is how flying fast would look, just flying. Imagine having to zigzag and dodge all these buildings while you're running low to the ground. This is high. This is a high angle. Like, I want you guys to realize that when you're running the speed of sound or faster, this might seem like a lot of space, but trust me, normal human reflexes won't be able to really perceive what's going on this fast, but Sonic's able to perceive this kind of speed without running into everything. People would just be getting injured everywhere. That's the concept I'm talking about when I say his fighting speed and running speed are pretty much the same thing. He can perceive everything that's going on at these speeds without running into everything. Like, you're going to see this brought up a lot, but this is just an example of how everything slows down. This is combat speed. Like, he can perceive everything that's going on when he's moving at these ridiculous speeds. So yeah, when I do bring up speed, just know this has a lot to do with his punching power and things like that, him being able to run this fast. It all just kind of translates. You know how the movie had promotional material giving us some more insight, just classic stuff you hear in the video games too. So I don't see why this wouldn't be true. Of him literally being confirmed to be the speed of sound. I mean, there's plenty of evidence of his speed. I mean, when he's just trolling, he can clock in at 290 miles per hour, which is slower than the speed of sound, but he's literally not trying at 300. So I don't have to do much convincing to convince you that he's at least Mach 1, right? I mean, he's a video game character. He's based off a character that's known to be the supersonic Hedgehog, so it makes sense for him to be this fast. I mean, you got occasions like this when he was chilling with his human buddy Tom. When you analyze this a little closely, the world's largest rubber band ball was apparently 10 miles away from this current location they're currently driving. Sonic was so fast, he ran there in less than 2 seconds. Like, guys, he ran 10 miles and then back, which was basically a whole distance of 20 miles in like literally like a second or 2 seconds at most. This pretty much confirms that Sonic can, as a bare minimum, can run 72,000 miles per hour. I mean, you count, it says 10 miles ahead. And he zipped there so fast and came back. Guys, that's ridiculously fast. Like, we know Sonic is a fictional universe, and apparently in this fictional universe, they have an Earth that's kind of similar to our place, but they have some fictional towns, of course. Apparently, Green Hill is a fictional town located in Montana in a real-life place, apparently. Sonic, if we assume Sonic didn't do no twists or turns, if we assume he ran to the Pacific Ocean, the bare minimum distance to get there, I'm assuming he didn't just take the road there. He could have took the long way. This is a bare minimum distance. I'm trying not to highball him too much, just to give you a bare minimum understanding of his speed. This is 500 plus miles. And he apparently traveled to the Pacific Ocean and back in that ridiculously short distance of like literally 5 seconds. Like, I'm not exaggerating. Like, it's easy to overlook this feat because he made it look so simple. Yeah, you see it happen. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, he's already back that quick in this, and he got a fish on his head to prove he was actually in the Pacific Ocean. Yeah, Sonic quite literally ran from Montana to the Pacific Ocean that quick. He overran his area he was supposed to go and ran back in that same location, like literally in 5 seconds. That proves that this Sonic can run over 800,000 miles per hour and over 1,000 times faster than the speed of sound. Keep in mind, guys, this is the bare minimum distance. This is a straight line speed thing. I'm not even talking about the fact that Sonic, he probably ran on the road to get there. But at the same time, he said he didn't know where San Francisco is. So he could have just did a literal straight line and hit the Pacific Ocean. Well, you know, I mean, there's plenty of examples of his speed looking like he's in multiple areas at once. He's fast enough to run across this entire island in less than 2 seconds with his raw speed. Even when he was real young, he's probably even faster than this now. He's too fast for the traps to even have enough time to catch his leg. Even when he gets caught in them, they're not fast enough to actually catch his leg. Imagine getting caught in every single trap, but they're too slow to actually hit you, so you can just run through all the traps. And this also shows his combat speed to be able to react while he's moving this fast. I want you guys to check this out. Even when everybody's frozen because he's moving so fast, he can literally look like he's in 3 places at once because of raw speed. And then we got promotional material like this on how Sonic talks about how he traveled around the world in 80 seconds. It's up to you if you want to count this or not, because this is like promotional material and stuff. This is totally something he would do. I mean, he does reference the events of him getting his new home in Green Hill canon movie stuff, so this could be true too. Well, in this, he made like a travel diary to show his adventures traveling around the world, to different parts of the world, just by running there ridiculously fast. There's 2 ways to look at this. He traveled all around the world in 80 seconds. You can look at it like this, on that he literally was rushing the experience and just ran around the world is like in like a race type format. But the way this video implies it, it's implied that he didn't do it this way. But let's just assume he did this just to get it out the way. If he just ran around the world and just circled it in 80 seconds, like he said,
Only took 80 seconds.
if we just assume he just ran all the way around the world once and lapped it, like with 1 lap, That's 1,400 times faster than the speed of sound if we assume he just did one little circle around the world just to show off his speed. But you got to look at it another way. There's implications he didn't do it this way though, but instead he ran to different sections of the world, like on like an adventure to kind of explore the planet. Don't judge me. I actually wrote down all the locations that he ran to apparently in this promotional material. And this is assuming he didn't zigzag on the roads, just straight line, like as if he was flying, which he's not. He's running there. Again, I'm assuming he didn't just do this, you know, taking twists and turns on the road or nothing. I'm assuming, aka I'm being disrespectful by just assuming he's going straight lines to these different places in raw speed. And even when you come out with stuff like this, there's still some astronomical distances he ran, apparently in only 80 seconds. Stated by himself in the journal, he ran to these different places. He didn't even run to every place he wanted to in the world. So based on that clip, if we assume he's telling the truth, like similar to our real world, Montana is a real place, not Green Hill, but if we assume it's similar to the real place, a bare minimum distance between this and Los Angeles he would have to travel would be 800 plus miles. And then he traveled another 700 miles to visit the Arches National Park, and then traveled all the way to Mexico, which is 1,700 miles, a bare minimum. Then he went from this area all the way to New York, which is 1,900 plus miles. Based on this chart, he ran from the Statue of Liberty, aka area in New York. If it's anything like our real life map, he ran from New York all the way, yes, to London, which is another 3,400 miles, and then ran all the way to India with his raw speed, which is another 4,500 miles, and then goes from India all the way to Japan. Him going from India to Japan is apparently 3,800 plus miles, and then goes to Sydney, Australia, 4,800 miles, just to give you some visuals on how much distance he's covering. And then after all this, he runs back all the way home, like the place where we started from in this whole video, like his actual home and all the way in the United States. He runs from Sydney all the way back. That's 6,900 miles as a bare minimum. Just to give you a visual perspective on how much he had to cover to get back to Montana. And he apparently did all of this in 80 seconds, guys. And if you add all these miles together, just to get an understanding of how much did Sonic actually run, like how many miles did he run in 80 seconds, if you add all these things together, it comes up to being over 28,000 miles he ran in 80 seconds, he says.
I started a travel diary to keep track of the places I visited since I made my home in Green Hills. I couldn't decide where to go, so I figured I would just see it all. First stop, Los Angeles.
Confirming he can run over 1 million miles per hour. I mean, you got promotional material that kind of show him zigzagging to different places in an extremely short amount of time to promote the movie. Imply what I said seems to be kind of true. Speed is his whole thing. Being able to move millions of miles per hour pretty much proves he can move faster than lightning itself or lightning strikes when it comes to raw speed. He's faster than already. I mean, what do you expect from a guy that can run on water because he's hitting the water so fast it keeps him up on top of it? I've been going over a lot of speed. His reflexes are just as good. His speed, reflex-wise, and his just running speed, they're all equal to each other. So you can kind of get an idea of how fast he is when he literally perceives missiles and bullets as almost frozen. Like, these things are moving like snails, if we're being honest. And yeah, he can move his hands that quick. Play drums. This may not seem like much, but when you do the math and you can make bullets appear frozen almost, this is basically right under the speed of light. Like, he's right there at almost at the speed of light in his live action. Like, he's so much more faster than bullets. Like, they look like they're, even if we assume they're moving like a snail, he's right there under light speed. Some of the slower bullets are 400 miles per hour. If you can make something that slow, 400 as a bullet nowadays is actually considered slow, by the way. 400 miles per hour bullets, if you can make them appear like they're moving like a snail, have to be somewhere close to the speed of light in comparison to your own speed in your perspective. So let's estimate and say he can at least move 70% light speed, 80% light speed, 90% light speed, somewhere in that ballpark, right? That's over 800,000 times faster than the speed of sound. This movie version could technically run. If we're being honest, he has to be careful on hitting humans. He could easily kill them, so he has to hit them gently. He can easily knock them out, though. So imagine with all this speed fighting beings that's similar to himself. Imagine how hard he can hit with all this speed. I mean, he's fought beings that have similar speed to him, even though he's faster, of course, like Knuckles. Occasions like this making Knuckles look like he's moving in slow motion compared to his speed, hitting him multiple times before he can block or react. He's effortlessly dodging hits from Knuckles here, for example, even though Knuckles is not slow in his own right. This house was tore up, man. Like, look at all this stuff. He was getting a phone call, was able to clean up all this stuff this quick before answering the phone. I mean, the Sonic writers are paying respect to the Flash, but he's very similar to the Flash when it comes to his overall power. It really depends on how hard he hits you. With his speed, he can hit you because we've seen him actually use his super speed to punch or just do a spin dash and ram into people. We've seen his super speed kicks mess up drones. Yeah, Eggman has like a lot of different drones or robots he can ram through, even make them as a skateboard. This should be a no-duh moment, but look how he does this to the thick concrete structures. Because speed is weight. Yes, I'm pretty sure he can punch through concrete or brick walls. Does anybody in their right mind even have doubts about this level of power? I think the One Piece character said it best. This applies for Sonic. Speed is weight. Have you ever been kicked at the speed of light? I think this is a perfect analogy for Sonic because it pretty much shows he can hit with a lot of weight doing this to durable vehicles. He can literally run at you and ram at you at these speeds. Those hits look like weight to me, don't they? Tell me those hits don't look heavy. Even the vehicle looks like it's feeling it. There's definitely weight behind those strikes. Send him to another planet. Yeah, it's hard for you to imagine this, but yeah, he could literally kick with that much weight. I mean, if Sonic wanted to be a menace to society, this is all the destruction he would be able to cause with one hit, based on all the stuff I've already showed you. Not to mention he can use his speed to literally break through bank vaults. This happened in the movie tie-in comic. Even if you don't want to count this, he should be able to do this, even if you don't want to count this at all. I'm pretty sure he can do this still. This ain't nothing. He literally overpowered a mechanism that was powered by a piece of his own strands of hair and eventually got that same power back, just like this. So it's really just his power in general. But if we're being honest, this still doesn't really scratch the surface on the potential of these beings as raw energy or how hard they can possibly hit, because in the new Knuckles show, beings in this universe that measure these beings as power and they're kind of fearful of these beings, Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails, these beings, their power was literally compared to nuclear bombs.
As they shed quills with the destructive power of a thermonuclear weapon every time they go out for a jog.
Guys, I don't think you guys understand on what this means. Just little pieces of these beings of strand, like you see all these different strands of hair they got, just going out for a jog, they have energy that's coming off of them that's like thermonuclear bombs, guys. That can give you an idea that Sonic, as a bare minimum, if he was fighting for real and wanted to be destructive, he would hit like nuclear bombs or worse. If this little pieces of energy that he gives off can give off this kind of energy, what do you think all his power put together is? This gives you an idea of the type of destructive power these beings can put off. I mean, when we think about it, it adds up. Based on all the speed I went over with Sonic, it does kind of add up. I mean, if you got hit at the speed that Sonic can move, it would feel like nuclear bombs hitting you in the face. It really would. Being able to move right under the speed of light, 99%, 80% speed of light, this would feel like nuclear bombs hitting you if he hit you at these speeds. Like, you know how Sonic powers him and looks lightning-ish looking like this with all this energy coming off of him? Just one little piece of his little strands of hair. Yes, these little strands have so much energy. In certain occasions, they call it limitless, unlimited power. These little strands of hair can give off thermonuclear type of energy destructive power. And if we assume the energy that he's putting off from his hair, he can punch with similar destructive force with his fist. Like if we assume he can punch with similar force like his energy is coming off his hair, that would pretty much confirm, yeah, he can hit with nuclear bomb type of force with his fist. Yes, this little guy can quake a city with his punches. Unheard of, right? More than likely, he's way above that because just little pieces of his strands of hair can give off nuclear bomb type of energy. Like, that's what they're talking about. Like, imagine what his true power is put together. He's the one that has all this on him. You guys probably already know what feat I'm gonna bring up. Sonic was able to cause a power outage because of his energy being put out to the entire Pacific Northwest, like multiple states. And when you hear those statements about each strand of his hair giving off thermonuclear bomb type energy, when you see him do stuff like this, it kind of adds up with the amount of energy he can produce. I mean, he's constantly generating this kind of energy. Yeah, imagine having the power to affect a big chunk of the country, just surging through you at all times. That's Sonic. And believe it or not, it gets crazier. When you think about the energy Sonic produced, it produced so much of a wave of energy that beings in other parts of the universe can feel it, or it was sensed. It traveled that far?
Your energy blast reached all the way to my home planet. Your energy blast reached all the way to my home planet.
This makes you wonder if his energy can reach all the way to another planet outside of the solar system. It can be felt that far away. Like, it's hard to measure this, but this could give you an idea that they could be way, way stronger than just city shattering when it comes to their destructive output. What do you think? I mean, each one of his strands contain nuclear bomb type of energy stored in each strand of his hair, guys. Like, just put this in perspective. Nuclear bomb energy, nuclear bomb energy, nuclear bomb, nuclear. You see where I'm going with this? Do you think he could possibly destroy smaller planets? Like, I already brought this up earlier, but you know how he can match Knuckles and just hitting a certain amount of with a certain amount of force, like you see them clash in the movie here example. You know how in the classic video game, Knuckles literally hits beings out of their super form? Like, this is a big deal because you know these super emeralds, this universe has super emeralds too, like these jewels. It seems like the movies make this a common theme too. Like, for example, Eggman was powered up by one of the, like by the emeralds, these things that make beings go into these godly super forms. We see Knuckles literally punch it out of them. Well, right here, this was technically the Master Emerald. Knuckles punched it out of him, even though he was powered up like a super mode. And Sonic is matching these type of beings in his base state. It's common knowledge where there's no way Sonic is stronger than his supersonic self, but beings, this is like a common theme in the universe of Sonic, of beings in their base forms, battling things that are powered up by these emeralds in their base forms. It's a common thing of them always fighting people, using these as a power source to battle people. Sonic having to battle beings that have this power source, vice versa, him getting this power, then having to fight people. Like, that's the kind of theme they do in Sonic. So, Knuckles in this universe was able to knock the emerald out of somebody, and Sonic can match these type of beings' power in this base state. Even though the emerald's above them in power, there are no slouches in power without that emerald. Does that make sense? I mean, it was literally described when it comes to the Master Emerald, for example. This thing has the power to turn thoughts into reality, basically reality warping. One could say like the game version.
The emerald has the power to turn thoughts into reality. In the wrong hands, it could threaten all life in the universe.
And we see Knuckles punch the literal emerald out of a being that was powered up like this. Like, you see what I mean? Like, these beings are punching the emeralds out of these beings with their hits. Sonic has to match these beings in their base state and vice versa. That's why I say there's a good chance he could already be a Planet Buster. We just haven't seen him do nothing like that or nothing. There's a good chance he could already be a Planet Buster based on them battling these things that have quote unquote limitless power. You see what I'm talking about now? Saying why his base state could already be a Planet Buster based on that emerald. If you're powered up by that, you could threaten all life in the universe. Now let's talk about when Sonic actually does get powered up. Like when he becomes into this golden Super Saiyan mode. How powerful is Sonic like this? I mean, anything them emeralds can do, he could basically do like this. Reality warping. Threaten all life in the universe. So one could argue in this state, in the movie version, he could already technically possibly in this super mode threaten the entire galaxy, possibly multiple galaxies in the future. I mean, he doesn't have much experience with these emeralds yet or nothing, but I'm saying there's a possibility that can happen. The being literally said it can threaten all life in the universe. Something that can only destroy planets wouldn't be enough to threaten all life in the universe. You know what I'm saying? But like, even if you don't want to assume he can do all this yet, even though he probably can, because we know about the video game version, if it's anything like the video game version, yeah, probably can reality warp. Yeah, via chaos control and stuff. But yeah, I ain't getting into that yet. What we do know is that anything his base stuff can do with his punching power, this super mode can do this too. I mean, like quaking cities. I'm pretty sure we all could agree that base Sonic is like a nuclear bomb walking. We know super form him can do this stuff too. Bare minimally being disrespectful. This egg bot that had to weigh thousands of tons, honestly. We haven't seen normal Sonic lift up heavy stuff like this, so it's implied his lifting power is way greater in this state. The power increase. Even gigantic punches from a giant bot like this, he just stops with his power and breaks the arm off. And just slices this top of this bot up. Yeah. But yeah, what do you guys think? How fast do you think movie Sonic is in his base state? I mean, there's some implications that he could be massively faster than the speed of light if his energy that he produced from that EMP blast could reach all the way to another planet, was able to reach another planet outside the solar system, just like his energy reached that far. Like it reached to a whole nother planet. Sure, Sonic's body himself didn't run at his speed, but the energy he generated from Earth was able to reach planets outside the solar system. It would have to be faster than the speed of light to even do that. I know he physically didn't do that. His physical body was still here, but the energy he put off was able to travel that far and fast, you know? I want to hear your thoughts though. Do you think movie Sonic can already run massively faster than the speed of light? I would say bare minimally he's at least 90%, 80%, 70% speed of light, no matter how you want to slice it. Even his movie feats clock into that at that kind of speed. You know what I mean? But there's a chance he could be faster than the speed of light. Everything we really seen him do, it seems to be effortless when it comes to speed. But what do you guys think? Before I get going though, I gotta say thanks for the donations, everybody. Respect Sonic, even in live action. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.